Moana 2 brought in a boatload of money at the Thanksgiving box office. Thankfully, it's far from a cash-in, with plenty of rewarding details for all those who seek the way. In the first Moana, Dwayne Johnson's Maui jokes,
"When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting."
His weird knowledge of future technology appears to still hold true in Moana 2. The demigod references butt dialing of all things, and says it'll make sense in 2,000 years. This confirms when the series takes place, with the side effect of totally debunking a fan theory from the first movie. At the beginning of the first movie, Moana helps a baby turtle make it safely to the ocean. Once there, the baby's joined by a much larger turtle, suggesting a family link. Many thought these were Crush and his son Squirt from Finding Nemo, but if Moana takes place 2,000 years before the modern day, that can't be the case. Finding Nemo takes place in the present, and Crush is only 150 years old. There's no way he's been alive that long, but perhaps the Moana turtles are ancestors of Nemo's righteous reptiles. It should come as no surprise that Moana 2 is chock full of references to the first movie.
Well, now I kind of miss the lava monster.
Maui turns into a half-shark, half-man hybrid to humorous effect like the first time around, and he says you're welcome upon arriving at Motunui. Maui also continues to refer to Hei Hei the chicken as boat snack, and is even more ecstatic there's a pig, Pua, on this adventure. And when the ocean greets Moana's little sister, it tousles her hair in a similar way to how it greeted Moana in the first movie. One of the film's directors, Jason Hand, told Cinema Blend that one callback particularly hits home, saying, "In Beyond, where Moana says, 'I am Moana,' she's redeclaring who she is. And she's also, in a sense, setting up the story that she's about to go on, that is going to mean something different by the end of this film." Lin-Manuel Miranda didn't return to write the songs for Moana 2. That duty fell onto Emily Bear and Abigail Barlow. Still, it's nice to hear a quick reprisal from one of the most iconic songs from the first film. One of the most intriguing ideas to emerge from the first Moana is that Hei Hei is some kind of demigod. Yes, the chicken. It sounds like a far-fetched fan theory, but Moana 2 offers evidence to back up that theory. Looking back at the first film, Hei Hei is around when Moana is just a toddler, and still somehow alive when she's 16. Chickens typically live up to 10 years, but maybe Hei Hei is just a particularly ancient bird. It still doesn't explain how he survives incredible danger with a 100% success rate. By the time Moana 2 rolls around, Hei Hei is still kicking, even though 3 more years have passed. At the very beginning, Hei Hei manages to get to the top of the mountain before Moana, and Hei Hei stumbles upon the pottery that confirms other people are out there on the islands. Hei Hei puts the entire plot into motion, suggesting he may be a benevolent demigod who wants to aid Moana in her quest to connect the different islands. For all we know, Hei Hei could be a demigod trapped inside the body of a chicken, who's only pretending to be dumb so that no one catches wise to his true nature. It would certainly explain a few things.
I'm sure there's more to Hei Hei than meets the eye.
It's pretty common for trailers to include scenes that don't wind up in the finished product, but Moana 2 is a unique case. The sequel was originally meant to be a miniseries, making the potential for deleted scenes particularly high. One trailer scene that didn't make it into the movie is when Maui appears on the boat to Moana's delight.
Boat snack! Oh! Boat snack upgrade! Bacon and eggs?
Though that moment ended up on the cutting room floor, some others where Maui has fun at the animal's expense remains. For instance, he overfeeds Hei Hei and Pua in a clear attempt to fatten them up. Another trailer moment that's absent from the film is when Moana makes percussive noises, only to hear what sounds like someone drumming back to her. She then looks down and finds Hei Hei striking the same drum. Undoubtedly, there are more deleted scenes, and perhaps they'll be included in the eventual Blu-ray release. Moana 2 is a family affair for Dwayne Johnson, with 2 of his daughters playing some members of Moana's fan club, the Moanabes. It's the first ever voiceover credits for both Jasmine and Tiana Johnson, and it's a pretty sweet coincidence that they both share names with Disney princesses. Ever the proud papa, Johnson spoke with E! News about the joy of watching the finished film with them. Unsurprisingly, he says they loved it.
They hadn't seen it before, They knew they were in it, and they were sitting on the edge of their seats. Literally.
Dwayne Johnson's daughters aren't the only new voices in Moana 2. Montangi, voiced by Afime Frazier, is a nuanced character who helps with Moana's journey. While she initially seems like a straightforward bad guy, she encourages Moana to continue her journey even when she's unsure of the next step forward. She's not quite a full-on villain, and she sounds great thanks to Frazier's immaculate singing voice. Frazier has worked for Disney for a while now, even if English-speaking audiences are only hearing her for the first time. She provided the voice of Elsa in the Te Rei Maui language translation for Frozen. In an interview with the AU Review, she spoke about how voicing Elsa prepared her to take on Montangi, saying, "Elsa's a huge character to dive into, and massive songs in that particular movie too, so I felt really lucky actually to have had that as a foundation in Te Rei Maui, and then to move into the space of Moana 2. Her talents are also in the Maori dub of Encanto, where she voices Dolores, and she'll reprise her role of Montangi in the Maori version of Moana 2 as well. What you probably didn't know about Maui is that he has a rich mythology that's only touched upon in the movies. In Polynesian cultures, he's credited with gifting fire to mankind and lifting the sky so that humans would have more room on Earth, and a throwaway line in Moana 2 references another one of his most noteworthy exploits. During the sequel's climax, Maui attempts to lift Motafetu so that Moana can touch it and restore the connection amidst all of the other islands out there. Maui mentions how it's been a while since he lifted an island. According to Hawaiian legend, Maui hooked the ocean floor while out on a boat with his brothers. His siblings rowed so intensely that Maui lifted the Hawaiian Islands above the ocean. Maori culture has a similar legend where Maui hooked the North Island of New Zealand from the ocean floor and brought that to the surface. No matter how you slice it, Maui has a knack for fishing up islands, making the climax of Moana 2 all the more culturally significant to Polynesian culture. There are certainly plenty of Maui stories Disney could adapt, which might be why Maui was originally considered to be the main character of Moana. Still, that doesn't rule out the possibility of Maui getting his own spin-off at some point to portray these tales in greater detail. The most shocking moment of Moana 2 comes at the end when Nalo sends a lightning bolt to strike and kill Moana as she goes to touch Motafetu. Maui jumps into the sea after her, and with the help of Moana's ancestors, she's revived. With the addition of a slick new tattoo, Moana seemingly becomes a demigoddess in a way that mirrors how Maui earned his amazing powers. In the first Moana, Maui talks about how he was born mortal, just like Moana. His parents didn't want him, so they just got rid of him.
They threw me into the sea. Like I was nothing.
However, the gods found him and gave him the hook and its accompanying powers. Moana's origin as a demigoddess mirrors Maui's story, as powerful forces clearly had other plans for her that didn't involve dying in the ocean. With similar origins, Moana and Maui are more connected than ever before. Moana 2 contains a mid-credit scene hinting at what could come in a potential Moana 3. However, anyone who sticks through the credits all the way will catch a glimpse of a new Disney character to be introduced in 2025's Zootopia 2, Gary the Snake, who will be voiced by Academy Award winner Ke Huy Quan.
In Zootopia, anyone can be anything.
Toward the tail end of the credits, an image of Gary stitched into tapestry appears. Teasing future Disney movies in the end credits is nothing new for the Mouse House, as 2022's Strange World has an image of Star from Wish hidden in its credits too. The tease doesn't tell us much about what Gary will be like in Zootopia 2. To get more information on that, we have to turn to Jennifer Lee, an executive producer on many contemporary Disney projects. On the red carpet, spoke with Lee at D23 2024 about Gary, and although he'll reportedly be a wanted criminal, there may be more to him than meets the eye. She stated, "Gary's our first reptile. Ke Huy Quan is doing it. I think that gives you a bit of the wonderful warmth that you can get from a snake." Partway through the Moana 2 credits, we get a scene of Nalo, the god of storms, who up until this point we hadn't actually seen in person yet. He's sitting on a throne rather ominously as he talks to Montangi about getting revenge on Moana for reuniting all of the islands. It seems like a very clear setup for a potential plot for Moana 3, where Moana, now a demigod, has to go up against other gods who aren't too pleased with her. The way Nalo just sits there plotting his next move really gives off Thanos vibes from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially considering his turn in Guardians of the Galaxy when he's just kind of sitting around brooding nefariously. Interestingly, the mid-credit scene could have turned out slightly differently, as co-director Dana Ledoux Miller told Collider. She said, "There was a last-minute change to it. It was something that kept evolving the way the rest of the story did. I think the foundation of it was we introduced a demigod and a god into the world, and we really just like the idea of having a little bit more. And so do we. The last-minute change of a little bit more gives us plenty to ponder while we wait for the inevitable Moana 3.